私はエレナです。日本語を少し話せます。今から英語だけごめんなさい。どうぞよろしくお願いします。So, hello everybody. So, I'm Elena, and I'm going to speak about the edge of the pyramid. So, can you hear me well? Okay. So, let's go. So, well, first thing, who I am. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Elena. I'm from Spain, as you can notice because of my accent. I'm currently working as software engineer here in Japan. And one question. So, who has some challenge in doing effective testing? So, hands up. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult, right? Okay. So basically, I'm here. I'm going to introduce a bit my story. So I was living in Barcelona. It's a really nice city with a good work, good peers, and nice apartment. So, and then I decided, well, I'm so comfortable, what I'm doing with my life. Why not come here to Japan, I thought. Where I don't know the language, and I don't know how is the market here, the development market. I don't know it. And if you look into internet, they always say something like, America is better paid than Japan, or in Japan they do overtime. But I was like, okay, I want to go to Japan. I love sushi. So in my mind, I was thinking, I'm able to develop, I'm able to QA, so what else I need, right? So in Spain, back in Spain, I could choose my job. I had my network, I had my backup, and I was able to speak English. But what else I need? So I thought, what could be wrong, right? So let's go to Tokyo. So time passed, and I was looking for a job from Spain. It's a safe way, right? So I was looking for a job in Spain. I didn't find any. It was super difficult. So then I thought, okay, I guess I have to go to Japan. And then, so I guess I have to go to Japan. And then find for a job. So I decided to go to Japan and work and learning Japanese during 9 months. So then I'm done. I know Japanese, I'm in Japan, jobs, I'm ready. So I went to a school, a Japanese school. And I barely survived. It was super difficult. Japanese is no joke, it's super difficult. So I was learning every week 45 kanjis. I will forget next week, so I can learn the new 45 kanjis, new kanjis. I don't know how you make it. So as you can imagine, 9 months passed really fast. So I realized, as you can see, I didn't have enough Japanese to business level. So I couldn't look for jobs in Japanese, only in English. And I did, for example, 6 interviews in 3 months. Back in Spain, I did 11 interviews in 3 days. And here in Japan, in 3 months, 6 interviews. So I was a bit like, this is difficult. So I realized how the QA market is here in Japan. So basically, for the most of the QA positions, you need Japanese. And the positions were or manual tester or let's automate everything. So I was in the interview, and I started my interview speech like, yeah, because you don't have to automate everything. So you need to be careful. You just need to do this shows what automation you are going to do wisely, right? You know the testing pyramid? So I was always asking, do you know the testing pyramid? And sometimes I knew, of course, but sometimes they were like, no following the speech. Maybe because I speak too fast, that could happen. or maybe because it was the kind of speech that they were expecting for the interview. So, usually, when a company hires me, developers are like, yeah, I'm not going to test anymore. I have a tester. They can do the test for me. But what happened is when I go to a company, I make them test more than ever. Because I'll tell them, unit tests are important. So you need to do unit test cases. So that's the point. So basically, when I was an interview and they told me, you have to automate everything, I was thinking, hey, it seems that they want that I make ice cream. But I don't make ice cream, I eat it. So they were trying to make this pyramid, the ice cream anti-pattern. And I can explain it very easily. So basically, you do as much as manual as you can. Then you realize that you can execute everything, so the process is not agile. So then you automate all the test cases. And you rarely have all the test cases in other levels. So when you do this, congratulations, you have an ice cream. So then you feel that something is wrong, right? So the first symptom is like, yeah, it's slow. The build is slow, right? Yeah. When you have so many UI test cases that are so slow, yeah, your build can take 20 hours only for execute 1,000 UI test cases. That's not agile, right? The second symptom is your build is broken. Your build is red. Why? Because UI testing are, let's face it, they are less reliable, and you often have connectivity uses. Maybe if you are testing mobiles, the device is just not working, or maybe there are a lot of UI chains, and basically you cannot, your build is always red, right? So you know it, it's game over. So your build is not working fine. You need to do something. So you need to fight these zombies. So it's time for eat the ice cream. So let's eat the ice cream. I think this is the message I want to say today. Eat a lot of ice cream, basically. So you need to get rid of these UI test cases, and you need to revisit your testing strategy. So we need to push down these test cases. Okay? So, but wait a second. I'm talking about pyramids. So I think you know, because I heard a lot pyramid testing during this conference. But what is a testing pyramid? You can ask. So this is the original testing pyramid. So basically, it was defined by Maicon in his book, Succeed with Agile. So the key point here is to know that if we go down, we have more insulation and it's faster. And if we're going up, we have more integration, that is good, but it's slower, okay? So we need to keep this in mind. But sometimes this pyramid is completely misunderstood, because what is UI testing? It's just testing the labels in the UI? No, right? So what is service test? So sometimes I have the feeling that this pyramid is completely misunderstood, and we are following this pyramid, but sometimes the reality is that we have different shapes for different projects, right? So we are always following this pattern, but maybe this one is okay. Yeah. So for example, this one, I love it because it's a start. So this is microservices. When you have a lot of components, you need to do a lot of integration, and it's fine, because you need to test how they work. Maybe you can have less unit testing and tons of integration. And this is the correct shape of your pyramid. You don't need to feel guilty. So basically it's this. You need to find your pyramid, okay? But sometimes you will say, how I do it, right? So let me explain how I did it at Leomo, the company that finally hired me. So yes, it has a good story, good point. I got a job in this company, and they hired me because they wanted someone to automate testing. They already have one software engineering test, but they wanted one more like senior profile. So let me explain what is Leomo, what is the company, what they are doing. So basically, Diaper is this device here, okay? So Diaper is a device that allows cyclists to measure the motion of his legs, feet, and the angle of the pelvis while cycling outside the lab setting. So basically, you take the Diaper device, you put it in your bike, and you go for a ride. And then you can update all the information that is taken from the sensors. You can update it to the cloud. So basically you will have a website, a device, Android type device, and the sensors, and the mobile app. But let's take it in a bit more of deeper, no? So Diaper is a device that gets all the information from the sensors. And then we have this website here that we can upload all the information. And also we have a mobile app that allows us to configure the Diaper. Okay? So let's make a pyramid, no? We are here to build things, right? So first tip that I'm gonna tell you is know your architecture. So if you don't know how it works, your application, it's going to be very difficult to create a really good pyramid. So for example, in Leomo, for the website, we have this configuration. So basically, we have the user that is going to interact with a website that is a React site. And then he's going to do calls to the REST API, and it's going to be connected to the database. And in the back, we are going to have a worker that is going to analyze all the data that is uploaded to the cloud. Something like that. We don't need to go into detail. Tip 2, create the testing strategy involving your team. So basically, you need to make your team feel part of the quality process. You need them. So they need to feel the responsibility. So how I do it sometimes is just I sit down with my developer and we speak about one feature and we do the design, the testing notes, I call it. So the developer knows in advance what I'm going to test, and he can do unit testing from his side. So we collaborate in that way. So choose which layer is the best for your test. So in that I want to, do you know gray testing? Okay. So basically it's very easy. It's a concept that use the best of black box testing and the best of white text testing. So the idea is that as a tester, usually in the past, I only know like a box. I don't know what is inside, right? But if you know what is inside, you can take the best of the two techniques. I can know which are the entries, and I can know the components. So I can understand which entries are the best, so I can fulfill the path, right? So instead to add inputs like crazy, I'm going to do it smart. I'm going to do this input, it's going to go over this path, so I'm going to have this expected output. So it's combining black box techniques with white box techniques. So this is you can do this because you know the architecture, and you can do this because you speak with your developers. So you are aware of which white box techniques he's doing. So let's go to the example. So how the website, the testing pyramid for the website. So at the unit level, we decide to use these tools. We are going to use Enzyme to test the UI. Yes, you can test the UI at unit level. You don't need to do it at the top of the pyramid. So with this framework, you can test React applications. You can test the components, the labels, everything. Everything is amazing. And then because we were using Django, we can also test our database. So all this, if we want to test the structure or the logic of our database, we can do it from the unit testing as well. And then, yeah, we can use white box techniques for business code. And again, do pair testing with your developers so you can identify better opportunities for your integration and UI test cases. Then we add a component layer. Because we have this REST API, we were using Django. That I call it component-like because it's not unit level for us, for our organization. And basically, you can test the response. So you don't need to set up everything, all the server and everything. You can do it from the unit level or component level, and you can test all the response. Because it's isolated, you can also do error handling quite well. So yeah, so you can, again, push down some test cases. So maybe you are asking, okay, so if I have the component testing, I don't need integration API testing. But if you can see this chart, it's not 100% true, right? Because unit testing at the end is not production-like environment, because we want to be insulated. That's good and bad. So if we want to do test cases, we also need to do API testing in production-like environment. And here, duplication might be okay. And yeah, and also we can also check different layers, so we can check the integration with the database. So for the layer API testing, so what I was doing, it was more end-to-end test cases. As we already check all the response, for me API testing, it was more like end-to-end test cases. Why? Because we have devices, right? So I have to test connectivity. And this is not that stable, because as soon as you have connectivity, something could be wrong in UI testing. So if I can remove one of the variables and do the testing without the devices, the better. So what I was doing to have like a feedbacks, so the developer can have a feedback without running UI test cases that are very slow. So what I did is this simulation. I was asking directly, like I'm Diaper, the framework was going to be Diaper, and I'm going to do like the pairing call, and I'm going to check that the device was created correctly. So I can do like end-to-end test cases in API level. And also I was using the framework to create preconditions for the UI testing. So I was able to create users and everything. So I didn't need to do this through the UI. So it was faster. Finally, UI testing. So we have a lot of things like in the bottom. So what I left for the UI testing. So we were focused only end-to-end. We're also doing some functional test cases. Non-functional test cases, like Selenium can manage several browsers. So I can test that my final application is going to work in different browsers. So this, I cannot do it in other level. I have to do it in the top of the pyramid. And I was doing smoke test cases to ensure that everything works at the end. But I also combine this layer with exploratory testing, because manual testing is still needed. We need to touch the product. We need to verify that everything works fine. And instead of repetitive manual testing. We were doing something more creative, so we can check different areas or with a different perspective, doing exploratory. So let's take a look. So how is the LEOMO pyramid finally? It is a pyramid because we were able to push down a lot of unit test cases thanks to the tools. And we have a component layer, integration, an API layer, and some end-to-end test cases. So yeah, we make it. But what happened? We still have 2 devices, okay? We didn't finish here. So remember that we have the Diaper and we have the mobile app. So we need to check this part of the code. So for that, we create a unit. In the unit layer, we create some test cases with Roboelectric and Mockito. And we keep doing pair testing to decide which level it was the correct one. For the integration layer, we use Presso and Diaper. And yeah, for iOS, we use XT unit, but without using MOX. And this is like an example of a mobile testing pyramid that you can use without Selenium or Appium. So it's just using you can put in UA Automator, you can here also add Appium, for example. Oh, well, it's just an example. What we did is use Appium because I could use it with my Diaper device. I could use it with the mobile. And we test the end-to-end test cases, and we also test the UI because we didn't have any framework that I could test the UI correctly at that point. So in the top of our pyramid, we have these test cases. And also, thanks to Appium, I was able to create test cases like doing real pairing between both. So it was super cool. So automatically, I could do the connection between the mobile and the Diaper. That it was one of the key functionalities for our business. It was very risky. So how the pyramid looks like is not a pyramid. Because we didn't have enough tools, because we need to do a lot of end-to-end tests, because we need to check a lot of the devices. So it wasn't a real pyramid. We need to move a lot of test cases up. So basically, months after I joined LEOMO, so if I have to summarize, what I did wasn't add test cases. What I did is remove a lot of test cases. So we have a very huge pile of test cases, the UI test cases. And when I write there, what I did is I joined the developers. We speak about our testing strategy. We decide which tool to use, and we move everything down. So at the end, yeah, I had like a build super fast that was working super well because I removed test cases. So basically, takeaways are know your architecture so you can choose wisely where to put your tests. Research about testing tools, because maybe you think every day there are new tools that maybe allows you to do testing for in a unit level. So research all the time. Look for the best tools that can allow you to do unit testing or integration testing. So again, do as much test possible at unit level. Do great testing. So take the best from black box techniques and white box techniques. And do pair testing with developers. So you're going to know more about how your product works. And also they are going to know more about quality, so they are going to improve and improve and improve the unit test cases. And eat ice cream. Don't do ice cream, eat it. Yeah, eat it. So, well, what is the current status now? Because I had the feeling that yeah, it was really difficult to find a job here in Japan, but yeah, I don't speak the language, so it makes sense, right? So I was doing a research again. So I was like looking for jobs here in Japan and speaking with some recruiters, and basically since that I saw a lot of embedded software engineering test opportunities. That's cool. Why is cool? Because it allows us to be part of the development team. Sometimes we use software engineers this as a service. So someone that you can only ask, hey, can you do this automation? Can you do this automation? But you are not like part of the team. But if you are in the team, you are able to do pair testing easily. You can be part of the, if you are using Agile, you can be part of the Scrum team. Also, companies are looking for people that can develop tests in Selenium. So Selenium is a keyword. If you put Selenium, you can find a lot of offers, so it's great. And companies looking for people that is able to build robust framework. So because it's important to have a robust framework for create Selenium test cases. But this is another story. And yeah, so basically, in summing up, my feeling now, yeah, is that I can see that we are building a strong community here in Japan. So this conference is a proof for it, right? So I see how many testers join this conference, and I'm really proud that they choose Tokyo because we need this kind of conferences. And I can see a brilliant future as a QA here in Japan. So that's all. So if you have any question, you can ask any kind of question. So please, we have plenty of time, I think.
Any questions?
You can ask anything.
Thank you for your great presentations, and I really impressed that you make a progress in your test environment and test process. So my question is how to make a report to share your test result in your team.
For the test result. So what we have is a continuous integration. So we were using SauceLab for that. So in SauceLab you can see all the test results and you can take reports from there. And also I was building a framework that it has, I was using a presentation layer, and I was using a tool that is called Gauge. I don't know if you are familiar with, but it's like a cucumber, and I could take all the reports from there and push it down into a web. So everybody they could see the test results, and do the metrics.
So to use it, the SauceLab and Gauge. Yeah, the two things you can use that to make it a platform. Make it a report.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that great presentation. Very impressed. And my question is on the conclusion is pair testing. Already talked in it, but I'm very interested in the pair. Maybe that is a pair with the testers and the developer, I think. Mm-hmm. So what kind of role or maybe a discussion or happen or consequences?
Yeah, it's a very good question because it took me like 1 month to come up with the testing strategy. At the beginning, I was meeting the web team, and they wanted to do everything at the end to end. So they were expecting for me that I'm going to do all the Selenium. And when I sit down and I say, can we do the design? Can we do? It's more like more work for them. Yeah. So what we need to emphasize is this work for him. So if he does as much unit tests as possible, he's going to have a feedback right away. So he doesn't need to commit to the continuous, so he doesn't need to wait for the continuous integration process. He can get feedback in seconds. Oh. So I was selling that idea that at the end, when you need to do refactoring, when you need to clean up your code, you are going to be able because you have a robust unit test cases. And you can remove the speed. About the coding speed is going to be faster. So it seems that it's going to be slow development because they have to do a lot of testing. But at the end, it's all benefits. So when they understand that at the end is his own benefit and they are going to be able to develop faster, then it's when they accept it and they started to do it. But it wasn't easy because you need to change the mindset. Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you read books like TDD, the keynote yesterday, so all these fundamentals are the ones that you need to present them so they embrace the idea of unit tests. And when they are convinced about unit tests, then it's when you research and look for all the tools that can help you to do everything at the unit level.
Great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the pyramids. Yeah, so my question is like, in my current state right now, I have like a thorough test for the backend API, but I cannot really like reduce the number of the UI tests. I don't know why, maybe it's not confidence enough. So what is your suggestion, like how to make sure that you can have a minimum set of UI tests and then without losing your confidence? Thank you.
Yeah, very good question. One of the reasons why I'm gonna look for the, one second. Yeah, sorry. So one of the questions why I'm saying always do pair testing. Why it's not working anymore? Yep, is this one? Yeah. So as soon as you work with your developers, you can have a better, you can create better unit testing. If unit testing is robust, you can trust on them, so you can push it down. But you need to be careful because sometimes some areas you really need to do, for example, if you are doing configuration of the environment and you want to know how different components work, sometimes you just need to do a lot of integration test cases like in the microservice example. But if you do pair testing with your coworkers, you really understand how it works. Then you can decide, you have the power to decide, okay, so this is not necessary in this level, so I can put it in the unit level. But this test case is the one I have to move it up to the integration. So it's just a matter of decide which is the best one for your current situation. And I would suggest you that you go, you learn more about what they are using and learn about which unit test case, so unit frameworks, they can use it for unit level. And you can present them. So I think as a software engineering test, one of my duties is be always looking for new tools. So they allow us to improve our unit test cases. So researching is very important. So just research, understand the structure, and try to come up with a better solution that is trustable. And yeah, do it with your team. For sure they will help you.
Any questions? 他に何か質問したいこととかありますか? Thanks, Elena.
Yeah, so like, before I leave, sorry, I still have time, no? Okay. Eat ice cream. And yeah, I want to say this quote from Martin Fowler. So the idea is, if you get a failure in the high-level test, not just do you have a bug in your functional code, you also have a missing unit test. Thus, whenever you fix a failing end-to-end test, you should be adding unit tests too. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the invitation.